Hi, Will. How are you doing?
Oh, busy, feeling guilty.
Busy?
Yeah, I'm telling you before, I feel guilty sometimes when I sit down and start writing because almost feel like, I mean, you are having fun and everything, but it's still, you're working, and once you get past the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then it really starts to become not a chore, like you're still enjoying it, but, and then you're thinking, your wife is over there cleaning and you're like, man, I should be cleaning too, and
Yeah.
it kind of
I,
affects the whole thing.
so, what have you been working on? I mean, without giving away what you're working on.
Actually, I've been working on a story for a place I'm going to submit to soon. It deals with zombies, right?
Yeah.
But it's not a zombie novel. It's actually more of the character. It's more of
Yeah.
what he does in the story and not the actual zombies. So
Right.
it's sort of like how they said The Walking Dead was going to be based on characters and not zombies,
Okay.
which more or less kind of changed, but it's still sort of just the drama of the people. So this is sort of like that, where it's focused more on the main character and what he does in the story.
Okay. So, sort of drives it then. Without giving too much away?
He sort of has like a depression, and he wants to bring about the zombies and everything.
Yeah.
So it's about how he goes about that, possibly, or what happens to him because he did that. It revolves around him and his, life, I guess you can say, and why he wants to do this.
So, has it been going? Has it been an easy write, or has it been quite challenging? How have you been feeling as you've been writing it?
Well, I wrote the first draft at work, and I wrote it through, but it was a totally different story, and I think it was because of the point of view, and then I changed it to another point of view.
Wow.
I know a lot of people who've had depression. I mean, like, everybody goes through a certain form of depression. People are down, people are blue. This is almost like what happened to me after my mom passed away when I was 13. I kind of went into this whole, like, going inside, and I would sleep during the day, and I would stay up all night, and so I know that kids, they have this sort of thing until they break out of it, or sometimes they don't break out of it. But this character is sort of like that kind of a character, so that's what makes him want to bring about, the dead coming back. Because, I mean, who wants to, besides horror fans that are like, oh man, I just want to see the dead walking the earth, when you really think about it, are you going to go that far just to, if you knew that you could bring back a whole bunch of dead people, are you going to really do that?
Well, that's the question.
Yeah. But I mean, what would drive you to do that? And if you don't care, then you may do something in that manner,
Yeah.
But
So tell me, where do your ideas? One of the biggest sort of questions the writers get asked, but I'm kind of interested to hear sort of where do your ideas come from? Do you see something, or do you hear something on the radio? Or is there, a person that you might base a story on? You talk about the depression, or sort of take a little bit of your childhood, a little bit of someone that you liked or disliked, roughly base a character on them and sort of work the plot around that. Where do you get your ideas from?
Well, there's a few places I get them from. One, from reading stories. Obviously, you don't take that person's idea, but sometimes it pushes you off in a different direction. You get things that have happened to you in your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could, the characters, I think you just throw in there because you're like, oh, I know this perfect character that, what would they do in that situation, and that's what might spark something. Mostly it just comes to me, like sometimes listening to music. To get that onto paper is hard because you get this epic thought in your head while you're singing along. You're like, damn, this is sound good. And then by the time you finish, you put it on paper, you're like, oh, doesn't sound so good.
A little bit like it's a little bit like the dream nightmare thing, isn't it? I wrote a story.
Yeah.
I had a really, really surreal, scary nightmare, and I woke up, and usually 9 times out of 10 you forget it by the morning, or you can only remember bits of it. But I can't, it was quite vivid, and the next morning I remembered enough of it to write a short story about it.
Yeah.
And when I sort of read it back, I was not disappointed by it, but I was like, oh, okay,
It just seems different, right? Like, all those things in your nightmare were geared towards you and your fears, but now when you put it on paper, you're like,
yeah.
It sounds like a different story. It'll probably be good as a different story, but it doesn't scare you the way your dream scared you.
No, exactly.
So what makes you think of stories and motivates you?
I think I've said sort of before that. I think the thing that motivates me and sort of inspires me the most before I write is memories and the past.
Yeah.
and things that happened when I was growing up, and things I've experienced during my life. You know, I'm a big sort of retro nerd. I'd absolutely love to go in a time machine and be a, you know, like a fly on the wall back when I was like 10 years old or something. You know, just to see the way things were culturally, and you'd walk down the high street, and you know, all the old sort of, you know, Coca-Cola logo might be slightly different, and you know, it's weird, and you know.
Yeah. You know, there's websites you can do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Same with YouTube. YouTube has
Yeah.
a site that I think it's called Retro. You just type in retro, you'll see a few of them, and they show you like all the old commercials and all the old slogans and.
Yeah, it's just I'd love to sort of be there, a fly on the wall, and just see what you were like when you were a kid, and your parents when they were young and stuff, and stuff like that really motivates me. I'm working on a story at the moment that's loosely based on when me and my dad used to go shooting when I was like 13, 14 years old. And my dad would wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it was still dark outside, and we'd take his shotgun and we'd go up onto the fields. He knew a farmer who lived near us, and we'd go on there, and whatever popped on by or flew on over, we had free rein to shoot at it.
Yeah.
So it was mostly things like rabbits and wood pigeons and ducks and things like that.
You know what's funny that you say that you want to see like how your parents are, because there's a story that I'm working on. It's gone through like so many iterations. I think at least 8. It's called The Cat.
Yeah.
And that's probably not, and that might not even be the final title. It's about a guy who you know, he goes back and he sees his mother when he was younger, because she passed away. And plus there's one of the novels I'm working on is one that's set in the 1950s.
Yeah.
But he's not, you know, it's this time, it's just like right now, but the guy going back to the 1950s and seeing the way things were, because something is trying to draw him back to that time. It's funny how, you know, you're always drawn to the old times, even with video games too, like all these new fancy games that are coming out, and we're going back to like the old retro 8-bit, you know, Nintendo games.
Yeah, to be honest, I think a lot of the 8-bit games, I was saying this to my friends the other day, the 8 and 16-bit games, I think they age a lot better than when you sort of have these N64 and PlayStation style polygon 3D graphics.
Yeah. Well, getting back to about you know, going with your father, so you're writing a story about hunting.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's based on an experience I had when I was we were up there one time, and I don't want to go into it too much because I don't want to spoil the story, but
yeah.
I ended up feeling really, really bad. Whatever happened, it was horrible. And I got back after it happened, and I just curled myself up in a ball on my bed, and I was like, my God, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
And it was one of them experiences that sort of it haunted me a little bit. So I'm writing a story about that, but I'm exaggerating a few things that happened. I'm making the father figure in the story a bit of a completely unsympathetic, and there's a bit of a broken home scenario in there as well. So I'm changing it up a little bit, but the sentiment of it is the same. So that's what I've been working on. I've also been working on my short story collection, which I'm going to sort of sub out today.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were telling me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that includes mostly published stories.
And a few new ones, right?
And a few new ones. There's 3 new ones in there that have not previously been published. I think it's really cool as a writer, especially if you're an anthology writer like I am, or a short story writer, to have a collection of your stories, because no matter how big your fan base is, you're not going to get people who are going to buy every single magazine that you're in just to read that one story of yours. So, and it's also nice for you to get everything sort of compiled in one place as well. The number of times I've spoken to people like friends and people that I work with, and they go, oh, you're a writer, brilliant, you know, where can I read your stories? It's a lot easier to point them in the direction of a collection rather than say, oh, well, you go to Unnerving 5 or the new Gallows Hill magazine, or, you know, go and buy Hindered Souls. You know, it's like it's easier just to throw everything together in one place. So I think that's what I'm going to do, you know, going forward. Every two or so years, when I've got enough stories under my belt to do something with them, I'll probably just sort of compile them and put them out in a collection. So everyone can sort of read my latest stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. To draw on the past, that's a big thing that writers do. They always, you know, you have a wealth of information. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, if you like what you heard, or if you want to hear more, we have other episodes in the back. I'm also working on all the old episodes. I'm remastering them so they're clean and they have the beginning logo and some graphics to go with it. We may even do some video later on if I can figure a way out how to do that. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think. Like if you want what you want to talk about, what you want us to hear us talk about, or if you even want to come on the show, just let us know. Links should be in the description. So I'll check you out later, Gary.
See you, babes.